gonna read the entire shit for no reason. This end user license agreement, EULA and/or terms governs your use of the Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach video game and all of its future updates and expansions. The term company shall refer to Steelwood Incorporated and its affiliates, licensors, including without limitation Scott Games LLC and/or Scott Coffin and other related entities, and each of their successors assigns officers, members, employees, attorneys, and agents. The terms you and/or user shall refer to the customer, player, and or other viewer using the game, and his, her, its, hers, related entities, successors, assigns, shareholders, directors, officers, members, employees, and agents. You should read this EULA carefully before using the game. By downloading or accessing the game, any components of the game, and/or playing the game in any format, the preceding activities, collectively engagement, you're going to be bound by this EULA and any other game policy or notice. Collectively, the agreement. By your engagement with the game, do you confirm that you are the requisite legal age in the jurisdiction where you live? If you are a minor or below the age of majority in your country, you may not agree with the game until these terms have been reviewed or agreed by your legal guardian. Your engagement with the game is your verification that these terms have been reviewed and approved by your legal guardian. Please read the agreement carefully, as it contains information concerning your legal rights and limitations, as well as the applicable law and jurisdiction relating to disputes arising from this agreement and/or the game. If you do not agree to be bound by these terms, you may not use the game, must exit the game download page, or exit and delete the game itself immediately. Health warnings. Warning: this game contains jump scares and frightening scenarios. This game is a thrilling, nightmarish video game. Please ensure you stay hydrated and take regular breaks. You also acknowledge and accept that the game is designed to be frightening and contains gameplay where the player or audience is surprised by an abrupt change in an image or event, typically combined with a frightening sound, commonly known as a jump scare. You assume the risk of this frightening gameplay. It is important that you consider your health prior to using the game and that you consult your physician, I don't know how to pronounce that, before using the game. If you have any concerns in particular, you should consult your physician before using the game. If you suffer from any heart condition or other medical condition. Warning: photosensitivity epilepsy warning. A very small percentage of individuals may experience epileptic seizures or blackouts when exposed to certain light patterns or flashing lights. Exposure to certain patterns or backgrounds on a screen or when playing video games may trigger epileptic seizures or blackouts in these individuals. These conditions may trigger previously undetected epileptic symptoms or seizures in person who have no history of prior seizures or epilepsy. If you have an epileptic condition or have had seizures of any kind, consult your physician before using the game. Immediately discontinue use and consult your physician before resuming gameplay. If you experience any of the health problems or symptoms, dizziness, altered vision, eye or muscle twitches, loss of awareness, disorientation, seizures or any involuntary movement or convulsion, do not resume gameplay without first getting the approval of your physician. Company recommends the following use and handling of game to reduce the likelihood of a seizure. Play in a well-lit area. Keep as far as possible from the screen. Avoid large screens. Use the smallest screens available. Avoid prolonged use of the game. Take a 15-minute break during each hour of play. Avoid playing when you are tired or need sleep. Note that none of the above recommendations may be taken or considered as medical advice, and none of the above should replace or override the advice of a physician. Stop using the system immediately. If you have experience of any of the following symptoms, lightheadedness, nausea, or sensation similar to motion sickness, discomfort, or pain in the eyes, ears, hands, arms, or any other part of the body. If the condition persists, consult a doctor. If you are minor or below the age guardian of a majority in your country, please have these health and safety concerns checked by your legal guardian to using the game. General disclaimer. Without limitations, the company undertakes no obligatory to update or maintain the materials as defined below and other information contained within the game. Furthermore, the company takes no responsibility for any communications posted by any game user or in any forums relating to the game or communications made through the game. You acknowledge and agree that your engagement with the game is including without limitation, downloading, playing, commenting, and on and reviewing the content of the game is at your own risk. You must use caution and are responsible for the inherent risk in dealing with other users or third parties whose identities have not been verified. May be underage, may be acting under false pretenses, or maybe attempting to defraud others. You agree to accept and assume such risks and acknowledge that the company is not responsible for the acts or omissions of other users. If you are dissatisfied with any of the agreement, your sole and exclusive remedy is to discontinue engagement with the game. Finally, by your engagement with the game, you also stipulate that any violation of the agreement will result in irreparable harm to the company, not compensable in money damages, such that without limitation, injunctive relief shall be a necessary appropriate remedy. Please note that the company retains the right to change the content of the game. These terms and/or the agreement in its sole discretion at any time without notice. Such change shall be effective immediately upon posting. Your continued engagement with the game constitutes acceptance of those changes. Be sure to return to this page periodically to review the most current version of the agreement, noting the last update they indicated. Epic Games Incorporated disclaimers and limitations of liability. Games include the Unreal Engine and other coded materials and information. The Epic materials from Epic Games Incorporated, Epic. All Epic materials are provided on as is and as available basis, with all faults and without warranty of any kind. Company Epic and Epic's affiliates disclaim all warranties, conditions, common law duties, and representations, express, implied, oral, and written, with respect to the Epic materials, including without limitation, all express, implied, and statutory warranties and conditions of any kind, such as title, non-interference with your enjoyment, authority, non-infringement, merchantability, fitness or suitability of any purpose, whether or not Epic knows or has the reason to know any such purpose, system integration, accuracy or completeness, results, reasonable care, workmanlike effort, lack of negligence, and lack of viruses, whether they are alleged to arise under law by reason of custom or usage in the trade or by course of dealing, without limiting the generality of the foregoing. Company Epic and Epic's affiliates make no warranty dealing without limiting the generally or the foregoing. Okay, that's the wrong one, sorry. That no, if Epic and affiliates make no warranty, that's number one, any of the Epic materials will operate properly, including as integrated in the game. 2. That the Epic materials will meet your requirements. 3. That the operation of the Epic materials will be uninterrupted, bug-free, or error-free in any or all circumstances. 4. That any defects in the Epic materials can or will be corrected. 5. That the Epic materials are or will be in compliance with the platform manufacturer's rules or requirements. Or 6. That a platform manufacturer has approved or will approve this game or will not revoke approval of this game for any or no reason. Any warranty against the infringement that may be provided in Section 2312 of the Uniform Commercial Code or in any other comparable state is expressly disclaimed by company and Epic company Epic and Epic's affiliates do not guarantee continuous virus-free or secure operation of or access to the Epic materials. This paragraph will apply to the maximum extent permitted by applicable law. To the maximum extent permitted by applicable law, neither company Epic's licensors nor its or their affiliates, nor any of companies or Epic's service providers shall be liable in any way for loss or damage of any kind resulting from the use of inability to use the Epic materials or otherwise in connection with all these terms, including but not limited to loss of goodwill, work stoppage, computer failure or malfunction on any and all other commercial damages or losses. In no event will company Epic's licensors nor its or their affiliates, nor any of companies or Epic service providers be liable for any loss of profits or any indirect, incidental, consequential, special, punitive, or exemplary damage, or any other damage arising out of or in connection with these terms of the Epic materials, or the delay of inability to use or lack of functionality of the Epic materials, even in the event of companies, Epic's or Epic's affiliates fall tort, including negligence, strict liability, indemnity, product liability, breach or contract, breach of warranty or otherwise, and even if company Epic's affiliates have been advised of the possibility of such damages, cease in limitations and exclusions regarding damages applying to the remedies. We also provide adequate compensation because some states or jurisdictions do not allow the exclusion or limitation of liability for consequential or incidental damage. In such states or jurisdictions, the liability of companies Epic licensors, its and their affiliates, and any of companies or Epic service providers shall be permitted to the full extent permitted by law, license, and access. Here we go. Subject to your compliance with the agreement, the company or its content providers grant you a limited, non-exclusive, non-transferable, non-sublicensable license to access, download, and install a copy of the game to a computer system or a games console, and to run such copy of the game solely for your own personal, non-commercial purpose. The permitted use. This license does not include any resale or commercial use of any service or the content provided by the game. You are not permitted to download, modify, copy, reproduce, republish, upload, post, transmit, sell, offer for sale, or distribute in any portions of the game or game's content, any photographs, text, software, pictures, graphics, articles, columns, posting, video clips, audio clips, digital downloads, data, message, contents, or other information contained in the game. Collectively, the materials. Create any derivative works based on the materials or the game, except as specially allowed under these terms. Furthermore, utilize framing techniques to enclose any trademark, logo, or other proprietary information, including without limitation images, text, page, layout, or form of the company without express with written consent, or make the functionality of the game available to multiple users through any means. All rights not expressly granted to you in this agreement are reserved and retained by the company and or its licensors, suppliers, publishers, right holders, or other content providers. The license granted herein terminate immediately if you do not comply with the agreement. Making purchases. In purchasing the game from company, you may be asked to supply certain information, including credit card or other payment information. You agree that all information you provide will be accurate, complete, and current. You agree to pay all charges incurred by users of your credit card or other payment mechanisms at the prices in effect when such charges are incurred. You will also be responsible for paying any applicable taxes relating to your purchase. Virtual goods. The game may, from time to time, feature virtual goods. Virtual goods include, but are not limited to, virtual items, characters, levels, accessories, items such as character customizations, power-ups, points, credits, tokens, and currency. Collectively, virtual goods for use in the game. You may earn virtual goods within the game, or company may allow you to purchase virtual goods with real or virtual currencies. Certain virtual goods in the game may be unavailable if not purchased. Virtual goods such as virtual currency purchased on third-party platforms such as, but without limitations, Steam, PlayStation, or Xbox will be subject to those platforms' terms and conditions. Please review those control how you can pay or how refunds may be issued on those platforms. When you make a payment through a third-party platform, you are agreeing to the third party's payment terms, and company is not a party to the transaction. Virtual goods are licensed to you, not sold. You do not own the virtual goods, and you acknowledge and agree that all virtual goods represent a limited, personal, non-exclusive, non-transferable, non-assignable, and fully revocable license to use the virtual goods for your individual, non-commercial entertainment purpose only. You have no right, title, interest, or ownership in or to any virtual goods. Company may terminate your license at any time at our sole discretion. Discretion. Company has the absolute right to regulate, discontinue, update, modify, or eliminate any virtual goods at any time in its sole discretion, and company shall have no liability to you or anyone else in these actions. Virtual goods have no monetary value, and in no event may you sell, transferable, trade, exchange, give, convert, or redeem virtual goods for real money or other goods or service, including other virtual goods inside or outside the game, except as expressly permitted by these terms or otherwise permitted in the gameplay. All purchase of virtual goods, whether made with real money or virtual currencies, are not refundable and non-returnable and are not redeemable for any sum of money or monetary value or virtual currency from company at any time. Company reserves the rights to modify the price for virtual goods that may be purchased at any time, and the retail price for virtual goods does not need to be linear. You will not receive any compensation or reimbursement for any virtual goods upon termination of the agreement for any reason, whether such termination was voluntary and involuntary, except as required by law. Restriction: use the game. You may not, without the express prior with written authorization of the company, A. Utilize any information that you gain as a result of using the game to illegally or improperly violate another person's or entity's privacy rights. B. Utilize the game in regard of any commercial activities, advertising, or sales without the prior written consent of the company, which may be withheld for any reason in company's sole discretion. Buy, sell, share, or otherwise disseminate any other user's username, password, or other personal information. Manipulate aspects of the games in a manner is so as try to disguise content developed by third parties. Transmit any materials, non-public information about any person or entity without the proper authorization to do so. Okay. F. Restrict any other user from properly using the game, including without limitation by of computer hacking or otherwise altering the software or functionality of the game and its underlying programs. G. Upload or disseminate any viruses, worms, Trojan horses, or other harmful or malicious code to the game. H. Engage with the game if you're temporarily or indefinitely suspended from the game. I. Engage with the game or initiate or further any illegal activity, which includes but is not limited to the sale of stolen goods or money laundering. J. Revise, modify, reverse engineer, or any other alter any portion of the game or its contents. K. Frame or mirror any parts of the game. I. Utilize any device to enable you circumvent the structure of the game and or spam or flood the game. M. Duplicate, create derivative works of all other otherwise violate the copyright of this game or the company except as explicitly and narrowly permitted under these terms, and utilize any of the company's trademarks as meta tags or other mobile applications or websites, or otherwise use the company's trademarks for your own advertising or pecuniary gain, including without limitation utilization as Google AdWords. Oh! Oh yeah, I forgot to set the letter. Screw it. Oh! Utilize the game in an unauthorized manner or in a manner which violates any legal or regulatory prescription or requirement, any third-party rights or the policies outlines in its terms and or the agreement. P. Utilize the game in a manner that is harmful to the company or any other person or entity. Q. Utilize the game or any information provided the game illegally or improperly in order to violate the privacy rights or any other rights of the company or any third party. R. Remove, alter, or amend any copyright or other proprietary notices from this game. S. Infringe upon the intellectual property rights of the company or a third party. T. Circumvent any encryption or other security tools used anywhere on this game. U. Sell or otherwise transfer your user account. V. Collect or store any information about users of the game. W. Sell, rent, lease, license, sub-license, transfer, distribute, retransmit, timeshare, use, or otherwise assign to any third party any of your rights to access the otherwise use the game or services granted in these terms. And X. Use any robots, spiders, or other intelligent agent software devices to access the monitor the game in any manner. Furthermore, you're going to cooperate with the company in preventing any unauthorized use of the game. If you recognize or incur any problems using the game, any violations of these terms, or any offensive content, please contact the company at this email. Abuse of the game. In addition to the company's other rights to terminate your use of the game and without limitation, if in the company's sole discretion it determines that you are creating potential liabilities or acting inconsistently with these terms, the company may without limitation prohibit access to the game, terminate any license or other agreements in place between the company and you and take technical and legal steps to keep you off the game. Users may identify abuse of the game and notify company of the same, notwithstanding the foregoing. You go otherwise acknowledge and agree that this is in the company's sole discretion and that it shall not be obligated to do so. Company reserves the right to use, investigate, and take appropriate legal actions against any violations of this EULA. All users agree to cooperate in this investigation, regardless of whether it is related to user content posted by him or relating to another unrelated user. Notwithstanding the foregoing, you acknowledge and agree that the company can terminate your rights to engage with this game or any portion thereof, and acknowledge and agree that company can terminate your rights to engage with this game. Okay, never mind. Okay, you're not screwed. This game or any portion thereof at will without notice in the company's sole discretion and without cause. You acknowledge and agree that the company shall not be liable to you or to any other person or entity for any claims related to the termination or suspension of your or any other party's engagement with the game. You hereby make the material representations upon which you agree to the company may and will rely. You are at least 12 years old, or either at the age of majority in the state where you're accessing this game, or you have your parents' guardian permission to agree to these games. You are you are a resident of the United States. What? 3. You are authorized to view and provide information on the game. 4. If engaging with the game on behalf of an organization, then you have the authority to bind the organization to these terms. Submissions. The company welcomes your feedback. However, please be aware by submitting contact to the company by emailing comments on our message through the games or otherwise, including any reviews, questions, commenting, suggestions, ideas, or the like contained in any submissions, collectively submissions You grant the company and its affiliates a non-exclusive, royalty-free, perpetual, transferable, and irrevocable, and fully sublicensable to A. Use, reproduce, modify, adapt, translate, distribute, publish, create the derivative works from and or publicly display such submissions throughout the world in any media known for hereafter device for any purposes, and B. Use the same name that you submit in connection with such submissions. If the company so chooses, you acknowledge that the company shall not be obligated to provide any attribution of your comments or reviews that it may do so in this direction and without any compensation to you. You further acknowledge and agree that its submissions are non-confidential and non-proprietary. Additionally, you acknowledge that the company is free to use and or exploit submissions, including without limitations, ideas for potential business law models or modifications thereto in whole or in part through any means, and the company shall not owe any compensation to you or any third party relating to the scheme. Updates. If the company elects to provide you with additional functionalities or capabilities to the game by way of updates, this agreement shall be extended. Those updates subject to the conditions set forth herein. You hereby acknowledge and assume the risk of obtaining the integration of such future legal or technical requirements into your updated version of the While the company may provide you with updates, including without limitation any release or versions of the current or then current game, hotfixes, patches, installation, setup, and maintenance services, they become available or as necessary to comply with applicable laws, regulations, and or compliance requirements. Collectively, the updates. Companies shall not be required to do so. Updates of the game may be subject to change system requirements and may require the installation of preceding updates, third-party components, and or additionally or change hardware. Moreover, company may offer upgraded versions of the game in the future, but has no obligation to provide them to you pursuant to this agreement. Furthermore, company may discharge additional fees with respect to any updates or upgrades provided and or offered by company as determined in the company's sole discretion, even if those updates are mandatory or required to properly use the game. In the event that the company elects to provide you with an update to the device or application and utilize the access to the game, you acknowledge that you must install it. The same is mandatory. You present and warrant cover and agree with the intent of the company relies thereon that you will immediately install and finalize these updates as required by company in its sole discretion. You acknowledge and agree that the company has the rights to make any maintenance updates are mandatory and automatically provide you with the same. Important! Company may find it necessary to make updates or reset certain parameters to balance gameplay and usage of the game. These updates or resets may cause you setbacks within your engagement within the game and may affect save files, characters, games, groups, virtual goods, or other gameplay elements under your control, and may temporarily or permanently lose access to some or all of them. Company reserves the right to make these updates and is not liable to you for these changes. Third-party software. Okay. The game may require third-party components in order to work properly, including but not limited to operating system and hardware. The installation and use of those third-party components may be covered by additional license agreements with those third parties. You may be required to accept these additional licenses agreements in order to meet the software system requirements. These system requirements may be supplemented or modified by company as is discretion. You acknowledge that you are solely responsible for obtaining, installing, maintaining, and operating any third-party components that is used of the game are at your own risk. The same may be governed by additional agreements. Nothing herein shall be deemed to constitute with an endorsement by company of third-party components. Company makes no representation or warranties with respect to shall not be responsible or liable directly and indirectly for any damage, loss, caused or allegedly caused by any such third-party components. Copyrights. The materials in the game as a whole are copyrighted by the company, its affiliates, or its licensors, are owned by or licensed to the company, or the use of which is otherwise authorized by law. Examples of fair use. Moreover, the PG as a fair use. Moreover, the materials in the game as a whole constitute a collective work or compilation. Under United States copyright laws and other laws, you must abide by and maintain all copyright notices, information or restrictions contained in or attached and attached to any material. You must agree not to reproduce, duplicate, copy, resell, or exploit for any commercial purposes any portion of the game, including without limitation if the materials. Without the company's prior written consent, the company is not responsible for content on game operated by parties other than the company. If you are aware of the infringement of the company's brand, please notify the company by sending an email to this email again. Trademark. Certain names, logos, and materials displayed on the game, including without limitation Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach and Five Nights at Freddy's, constitute trademarks, trade names, service marks, or logos of the company or related entities. Marks. You are not authorized to use any such marks or any variations thereof. Ownership of all such marks and the goodwill associated therewith remains with the company or other related entities. Cookies! The company hereby notifies you, and you hereby acknowledge and agree that the company may utilize cookies in connection with the operation of the game. You agree that such cookies may be placed on your computer or mobile device in connection with your access to another game with game. Disclaimer. You explicitly agree that your use of the game is at your own and sole risk. The game and all materials contained therein and are provided as is without warranty of any kind, either express or implied, including but not limited to any implied warranties or merchantability, fitness for a particular purpose, title, or non-infringement. The company does not make any representations or warranties that the game will operate in a timely, secure, or error-free manner. Nor does the company make any representations or warranties as to quality, fitness, truth, accuracy, currency, reliability, or wholeness of the game, or any of the materials you contain therein. The company may be modified at any time or with or without reason, and with or without notice to you, without liability to you and any third parties. Furthermore, the game does not contain any warranties, and the company does not make any warranties as to the result that may be obtained from the engagement with the game. You also understand and agree that the materials and or data alternated for engagement with the game is done at your own discretion and risk. You'll be solely downloaded from engagement with the game is done at your own discretion and risk. You'll be solely responsible for any damage to your console or computer operating system or loss of data that results from the download of such materials and or data. You understand that the company cannot and does not guarantee or warrant that files available for downloading from the internet will be free of viruses, worms, trojans, horses, or other codes that may manifest contaminating or destructive properties. The company makes no warranty regarding any of uses, disclosure, or confidential or private information that you may provide. The game is a work of fiction. Names, characters, businesses, places, events, locales, and incidents are used in a fictitious manner. Any resemblance to actual persons living or dead or actual events is purely confidential. The company may change if these terms found on the game at any time without notice. The company makes no commitment to update or keep current information found on the game. The warranties and representations set forth in these terms, if any, are the only warranties and representations with respect to your use of the game. There are no other warranties, written or oral, express or implied, that may arise either by agreement between you and the company or by operation of law, including without limitation warranties of merchantability and fitness for a particular purpose, all of which are hereby specifically disclaimed. Some jurisdictions do not allow the eliminations of certain warranties, and thus one or more of the above exclusions may not apply to you. However, this shall be limited and only prohibited by the jurisdictions shall be excluded and severed from the remainder of the other warranties, limitations, exclusions which shall remain in full force in effect maximum extent permitted by law. Under no circumstances shall the company be responsible for any loss or damage, including, without limitation, economic loss, including property damage, emotional distress, other personal injury or death, resulting from the use of the game information relayed herein or otherwise relating to your conduct or that of any other users, whether online or offline. By accepting these terms and using the game, you acknowledge that you assume any all risks associated with the use of the game. Limitation of liability. Oh hell no, I'm not gonna read that. Oh shit. Out loud. Oh shit, I'm lost. Okay, here we go. We're back on track. Limitation of liability. The company assumes no responsibility and shall not be liable for any damages to or viruses that may infect your computer system's console or other property or on account of your engagement with access to use of or browsing of the game or your downloading of required by law. In no event shall the company be liable for any injury, loss, claim, damage, or any special exemplary, punitive, indirect, incidental, or consequential damage of any kind, including but not limited to lost profits, lost savings, property damage, emotional distress, personal injury, or death, whether based in contract, tort, negligence, strict liability, or otherwise, which arise out of or are in any way conducted with 1. Any use of this game or content found herein. 2. Any failure or delay, including but not limited to use or non-limited use any component of this game for communicating with other users. Or 3. The performance or non-performance by the company, including but not limited to non-performance resulting from bankruptcy, reorganization, insolvency, dissolution, or liquidation, even if such parties have been advised of the possibility of damages to such parties or any other party, notwithstanding the forging and to maximum extent permitted by applicable law. You agree that any aggregate liability of the company that you will be terminated. So you will be limited to and not exceed the total amount that you have paid for the game. These limitations and exclusions regarding damages apply even if any remedy fails to provide adequate compensation. Indemnification. You agree to indemnify, hold harmless, and defend the company, its affiliates, partners, service providers, vendors, or contractors, and any members, shareholders, directors, officers, employees, attorneys, representatives, or agents of any of the foregoing collectively indemnified parties with respect to any claim, demand, cause of action, that liability, damages, costs, or expenses, including reasonable attorneys' fees and expenses of the indemnified parties, selected attorneys relating directly or indirectly to 1. Your failure to comply with these terms and conditions. 2. Your use of the game and or mainly affiliate link advertisement or link games and or 3. Any act of the or omissions on your part. Okay, this is a long one. Release. By engaging with the game, you hereby release, renounce, and forever discharge and give up any at all claims and rights which you may have against the company. And of the indemnified parties and their affiliates, partners, service providers, vendors, and contractors, and each of their respective agents, attorneys, shareholders, directors, officers, members, employees, and all other related persons or entities, the released parties, arising from or based out on of any act, event, or omission, and from any and all manner of rights, claims, complaints, demands, causes of action, proceeding, liabilities, obligations, legal fees, costs, and disbursements of any nature whatsoever. whether known or unknown, which now or hereafter arise from, relate to, or are connected with the use or playing of the game, uh, and any and all goods and service related thereto. You further waive, release, and give up any and all claims and indemnity arising from or playing any act, even events or missions directly or indirectly related to the user of the game without limitation. You further unconditionally and irrevocably forever release, discharge, and hold harmless the released parties from any and all liability claims, actions, damages, liabilities, losses, costs, and expenses of any kind, including without limitations, authority fees, unless required to be provided by statute, including without limitation those based on slander required to be slander, libel, defamation, invasion of privacy, violation of rights and of publicity, personality and or civil rights, depiction in a false light, intentionally and negligent. I don't know how to pronounce this. Infliction or emotional distress, personal injury, copyright or trademark infringement, and or may any other torts and or damages arising from or in a way relating to your use of the game of any of the product and services of the learn. This further includes without limitation any claim which could be asserted now or in the future under 1. Common law, 2. Any of the parties' policies, practicals, or procedures, and or 3. Any federal, state, or local statute. I don't know how to pronounce this again. Or regulations by utilizing the game. You assume all risks and agree to these terms with regard to all the information that you submitted via the website. If you're a California resident, hereby waive California Civil Code 1542, which states a general release does not extend to claims that the creditor or releasing party does not know a suspect to exist in his or her favor at the time of executing the release, and that if known by him or her will have materially affected his or her settlement with the debtor or release party. You hereby acknowledge, agree, and I just like pulled something. It's my camera. It's literally blocking my way. There's like a little bit wire on my screen. Sorry, I'm lost. Oh, don't worry. I'll just hereby acknowledge, agree, and stipulate that this waiver is being made consciously and with full understanding of the rights that you may be giving up. Notwithstanding any termination of your access to the game, you acknowledge and agree that your representations, obligations, as well as the disclaimers or warranties, limitation, liability, and release of liability hereunder shall survive because perpetuity. I didn't breathe again. Okay. Choice of law. Jurisdiction. The company and you each agree that this agreement is made and delivered in and shall be governed by and constructed in accordance with the laws of the state of Texas, without giving effect to principles of conflicts of laws and of the state of Texas or another state. The company and you each hereby irrevocably and unconditionally consent to submit to the exclusive jurisdiction and venue of the state and federal courts of the state or of Texas for any action, proceeding, or investigation in any court or before any governmental authority. A litigation for actions arising out of or relating to this agreement and or the game, as well as any other claims or defenses directly or indirectly related to the subject matter of this agreement and or the game, and agrees not to commence any litigation relating and thereto except in such courts. The company and you also both agree that you or the company may bring suit in any court to enjoin infringement or other misuse of intellectual property rights. The jurisdiction within the section shall not be deemed to such actions. The company and you both agree to waive any jury trial. You also agree that any litigations will be conducted on an individual basis, and you'll not litigate in court in any claims as a representative or member of a class. Assignment. Company may freely assign its rights and obligations in and to this EULA. You acknowledge that you may not assign, transfer, or sell your rights under this EULA without company's expresses, with a written consent, which may be unreasonably withheld. Any purported assigned without company's express written consent shall be deemed null and void, shall constitute to these terms. In the event of any dispute between any of the indemnified parties and you within any of the indemnified parties, the attorney's fees, parties exercises its rights or defends itself from claims asserted by you, including without limitation in any dispute relating to federal, state, or local statute. Again, you know the drill. Regulations or ordinance, tort claims, or any actions to enforce these terms, the indemnified parties will be entitled to recover from you, and you hereby agree to pay and all authorities pays at any cost incurred in connection with the same, including transcriptions, translations, and expert witness fees, whether or not resulting in the institution of proceeding, including without limitations, both actual pre-judgment and post-judgment attorneys fees and costs, attorneys fees, and costs of settlement if no proceeding is instituted. In addition of any other relief at law or in equity to which such party may be entitled. In such event, the indemnified parties shall be entitled to recover all costs, including both actual pre-judgment and post-judgment attorneys fees and costs, both directly or indirectly in its enforced efforts, whether or not does so through institution of formal legal proceeding in furtherance of these rights and without limitations. You acknowledge that and agree that the indemnified parties shall not be entitled to recoup the attorney's fees and shall have a viable claim for the same even if they have not established damages other than the incurrence of those fees resulting from the enforcement of these terms. To the maximum extent allowed by law, you specifically acknowledge and agree that you intend to be bound to the within allocation of attorney's fees which shall apply in lieu of any rights that you may have under Texas law or any other law without limitation to the greatest extent by law. You specifically waive any rights you may have under Texas civil practice Redeem Code Section 38, limitations on use by minors. The game is recommended for use by ages 12 and older. The company does not collect personal information from the users for the purpose of the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA. Personal information is defined as follows: full name, home or physical address, including street name and city town, online contact information like an email address or other identifier that permits someone to contact person directly, i.e. an instant messenger identifiers or video chat identifier, screen name or username when it functions as online contact information, cell phone number, social security number, persistent identifier that can be used to recognize a user over time and across different sites, including a cookie number, an IP address, a processor or device serial number, or a unique device identifier, a photo, video, or audio file containing a child's image or voice, geolocation information sufficient to identify a street name and city town, or other information about the child or parent that is collected from the child is combined with one of these identifiers. If you're a parent, believe the company may have inadvertently collected information for your child who is under the age of 13, please notify the company immediately by sending an email to this email, Moreover, you should be aware of the fact that some console and computer system download platforms have parental control protections may assist you in limiting to material that are considered to be harmful to minors. However, as otherwise set forth herein, the company does not accept any liability for the products, service by any third parties, communication, ex, ex, except as otherwise provided herein. The company makes no guarantee or confidentiality or privacy with regard to any communication made by or through the game to the company. The company specifically reserves the right, and you hereby authorize the company to monitor transmissions over the game and its related networks for maintenance, service quality of control, assurance, or any other purpose permitted by the Electronic Communications Privacy Act, number 18 USC 2701 ET6. The company takes no responsibility for information sent is intercepted by third parties. Any communications, including without limitations, emails, pictures, audio clips, videos, graphics, and or other materials sent directly or by carbon copy or otherwise to the company or any of its officers, employees, or agents shall become the company's property upon the transmissions of the same. You guarantee the perpetual and irrevocable right to both publicity or non-publicity utilize the same, including the identifying information containing therein in any manner whatsoever at no charges. Notices. Any and all notices or other communications that are to be given to the company under this agreement must be in writing, which shall be given by delivery to this email. Notices to the company shall be deemed effectively 24 hours after the message was sent, so long as no system error message or other notice of non-deliveries generated. Notice to you, including but not limited to service of process initiating any proceeding related to this agreement. If any shall be provided to the company via email or any other address which the company reasonably believes to be associated with you by posting said notice on the game. Notice shall be deemed effective upon delivery of the same by accessing and or using the game. You acknowledge and agree that you are communicating with the game electronically and consent to receive communications from the company electronically. You acknowledge and agree that all agreements, notices, disclosures, and or other communications that the company may provide to you electronically and are effective satisfy any legal requirements that such communications be in writing shall be deemed delivered to you without limitation. You specifically waive any objection or challenge respecting services to process so long as documents are delivered pursuant to the terms of conditions. International use. In light of the international scope of the Internet, you agree to comply with all local laws, rules, and regulations, including but not limited to those applicable to online conduct and acceptable Internet content without limitation. User acknowledges and agrees that it shall comply with all applicable laws and regulations regarding the transmissions of technical data from the United States or country in which user may reside. Furthermore, the company may determine in its sole discretion or whether or not to implement geo-blocking or users or other similar restrictions. Miscellaneous. You acknowledge and agree that this agreement constitutes that the agreement between the company and you hereto relating to the subject matter hereof and any prior agreements, understandings, representations, and commitments concerning such subject matter, which whether oral or written, and hereby superseded and terminated if the entirely and are of no further force or effect. Company reserves the right to amend these terms. If the company chooses to do so, company will make reasonable efforts to alert you as the amended terms. If you do not agree with the amended terms, you must stop your use of the game. If you continue to use the game of the that the terms have been adopted, it shall be constructed that you agree to the amended terms in their entirety if any provision of the agreement is prohibited or otherwise enforceable in a jurisdiction. Whether it's being enforced. A. It shall be nevertheless enforced to the fullest extent allowed by the prevailing law, and B. All other provisions of this agreement shall remain in full force, and effect shall not be invalidated or rendered unenforceable. You agree that neither this agreement nor your use of the game creates a joint venture, agency, partnership, or employment relationship between you and the company and or affiliates. The agreement is not intended to be for the benefit of and shall not be enforceable by any unaffiliated third party except as may be specifically provided herein. For the avoidance of doubt, any party that is subject to be indemnified under the agreement shall be intended party beneficiary to this agreement, who promise to perform all further acts and execute all supplementary instruments or documents that may be requested by the company to carry out provisions in effectuate. So that's my Discord. Don't worry. The intent of this agreement: the company's failure to enforce any term, provision, or conditions to these terms and/or the agreement, including the breach, the default thereof by conduct or course of dealing or otherwise in one or more instances, shall not be deemed a waiver. You specifically acknowledge that you have not accepted these terms on reliance of any representation of or other promises of the company which are not specifically included herein, reliance of any representation or other promises of the company which are not specifically included herein, specifically stipulate that these terms do not constitute a construct of adhesion. What's this? The gender terms in these terms shall apply equally to either gender. The heading in these terms shall have no force in effect by using the game. You agree that you have the opportunity to review the terms of agreement by using the game. You agree with console of your choosing if you wish to do so. You further acknowledge that you have thoroughly read these terms and conditions. You are given of certain legal rights and that may otherwise exist. Ask any questions you desire to clarify its meanings and believe it is in your interest. Nevertheless, proceed. Any rights not expressly herein are reserved. If you have any questions or concerns about this agreement, please do not download or use of the game and kindly contact the company at support on steelwoodgames.com. I finally read the entire EULA of Security Breach. I hope you enjoy it. I just wasted 1 hour reading the entire EULA, and I do not regret it.